Welcome to RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network with your hostess, Josey. Join like-minded real estate investors and accelerate your business towards greatness. You will hear step-by-step strategies for success, interviews with real estate rock stars, and we will dig deep into past projects where we bear it all, including the good, the bad, and some just plain ugly. So get excited. Here's the bestower of Badassery herself, the real Josey. Listener discretion is advised.
Hi, and welcome back. I'm Josey, creator of RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Whoop, whoop. On today's episode, we have a guest that will be sharing their badassery. But before we begin, here's today's Badassery Bestowment, my little badass gift to you. Today's topic is the importance of having a website. In today's digital-first world, having a professional online presence is essential for real estate investors. A well-designed website isn't just an optimal tool, it's a powerful asset that helps establish credibility, attract leads, and streamline your business operations. Here are 5 reasons why you should invest in a professional website. Number 1, build credibility and trust. A website serves as a digital storefront for your business. Potential clients, partners, or sellers are more likely to trust an investor who has a professional-looking website that clearly communicates their expertise and values. It signals that you are serious about your business. Number 2, attract and capture leads. Your website can work as a 24/7 lead generation machine by integrating forms, call to action buttons, and clear contact options. You make it easy for motivated sellers or buyers to reach out to you. SEO optimized content can also help attract traffic from people searching for real estate services in your area. Number 3, showcase your portfolio. Highlighting completed deals, testimonials, and case studies on your site helps build confidence in your abilities. It's a chance to show what you've accomplished and the value you bring to the table. Number 4, streamline communication. A website centralizes all the information someone might need to work with you. You can include FAQs, your process, and even links to helpful resources to save time answering common questions. Number 5, enhance your brand ability. With a website, you're not just an investor, you're a recognizable brand. This increases your reach and helps differentiate you from a competitive market. Consistent branding across your site and social media establishes a professional image. So, for newer investors, a website isn't just a nice to have, it's a must have. It establishes credibility, helps generate leads, and sets the foundation for your brand. Investing in a professional website early in your career can pay dividends as your business grows. Start small, but start today. Your website could be the key to your next big deal. Now, on to today's episode of the Real Estate Investor Growth Network podcast. We have with us David Randolph, the founder of Short Sale Profits. With over 15 years of experience, David rehabs 5 to 10 houses a year, consistently selling them in 7 days or less at or above list price. His secret? Mastering the art of negotiating short sales directly with homeowners and banks, netting him $50,000 to $150,000 profit per property. David's success has allowed him to build over $3 million in retirement accounts, which he now uses to fund rehabbers nationwide. From purchase to renovation, he provides 100% of the financing, making him a trusted partner in the real estate investing world. Get ready to learn from a true expert in the field of short sales. Welcome back to the show, David Randolph. Welcome back, sir. Good to see you.
Thank you. I'm glad to be back. This is
Yay.
awesome.
We were just chatting. You were here in Raleigh over the summer, and I missed you. And I enjoyed talking to you because I know you are in Missouri, where both my parents went to Mizzou. So they are fans of St. Louis, but I am a fan of David Randolph. So before we get into what we're really discussing here, and you have been on the podcast before, so thank you for coming back because you are my go-to expert when it comes to short sales. So it's always good to hear it multiple times so I understand it better. But before we get into short sales, I was asking you, I did not know about this funding program that you have where you will finance 100% of the financing for rehabbers nationwide. So you've been hiding out on me. So tell me a little bit about this, David.
Well, I'll tell you what, I've been doing that. I've been teaching short sales for only 5 years. I've been doing the lending for almost 14 years, and that's
Wow.
because I made so much money in short sales that it was sitting around doing nothing. And so then I thought, well, I can buy rentals, but then that takes work and I didn't know how to do it. But then I decided to lend it to other people instead. So I started lending to other rehabbers all the money to buy it, all the money to fix it, all the money for the points, and all the money for monthly interest payments. They literally need no money at all. It's all paid when they sell the house on the HUD statement or if they refinance with a local bank like a landlord. So I've been lending that way because I was just making so much money in real estate and didn't have time to buy rentals and manage rentals. It was so easy just to keep putting it in. I got like 3.5 million in cash in just my IRAs, and
Oh
that's
my
what I
goodness.
lend out is from there. And so, yeah, my heart is to help new people get started. And I've been doing that for 14 years now.
Well, I am just hearing about this and I didn't think I could like you anymore, David. So, how would the listeners I teach students across the country and many of them really struggle with that monthly interest payment that they have for the hard money lenders, all of that. So, you front them the money and then they pay you back at the very end. So it's a balloon payment at the end.
Well, they're going to list it on the MLS 6 months later as it's a finished renovation house. And so when they get that buyer for the house, when they sell it, I'm just the bank, the lender on it as a payoff. Okay. They didn't make any monthly payments in between. Matter of fact, I even give them money for pizza on Friday so the contractors don't go home early. You don't need any money, at all. But there's actually more to it than that. I actually, well, now, it depends on what city you're in, but like if you're in Kansas City or St. Louis, I will actually give you my contractors. Now, outside of St. Louis, I help you build a team of contractors. There's ways to treat them, ways to find them. So I actually give you my contractors, my material suppliers, my SKU
Nice.
numbers, and then it goes on for like another 2 pages of stuff. There's a lot more to it than what you just said on there and stuff. But yeah, I mean, I can give people a way to get that 4 page document if you want me to go ahead and tell them how to get that.
Please.
Yeah, this all you have to do is text the word lend, Lend, lend to my cell phone. Now, don't do it right now, while you're driving or while I'm on the platform right now, but later text Lend to my cell at 636-685-2990. And that will send you the whole 4 page document because there's a lot more that comes with it. I want new rehabbers to get started. No credit check, no tax returns, no bank statements, none of that. It's all about the house. And I want to help
I
you get started.
That is mind blowing because that is such a gift for people who are really learning the business. They are investing and getting coaches and they really have a strong foundation. But when they get to the money aspect, I mean, what a gift that is for newer people. Do they have to have any deals under their belt before you would lend to them?
Well, no, if they do, I actually kick them off. Look, like I said, my heart is to help the new rehabber to
What?
get started, right? And I only have $3.5 million. It doesn't go around very far, to be honest with you, because I do lend all across the United States. Now, I'll tell you, I don't like Illinois, but for lots of reasons, including that they were the first state to pass laws that you couldn't wholesale a house without getting a license, and then many other reasons. Yeah, I don't like to lend in Illinois, but I do lend all across the United States, with that. And so I So I do have to kind of be careful about the lending practices and stuff like that. It is limited on there.
Absolutely. And that could be one property in California, the 3 billion right there. So I do like that you are all over the country. That is fantastic, David. Thank you for doing that and giving back to the community. And so new folks that are out there and you got a great deal with a lot of meat on the bone. All you got to do is text LEND to 636-685-2990. David, thank you for that. So we are not here to talk about your $3 million, even though it's a lovely topic, but we are going to talk about short sales. And so in case they haven't listened to your first podcast on the RAIN podcast here, for those that are unfamiliar, can you explain the real definition? I love how you put that real in all capital letters, the real definition of a short sale, and how does it differ from other real estate transactions? That was a loaded question.
Yeah, well, so if you took 10 real estate investors and you asked all 10 of them, what is your definition of a short sale? Most everybody in just one sentence or two sentences would generally say that a short sale is when the seller owes more than what it's worth. That's the general definition. They owe too much money. They can't pay off the loan and sell the house. That's the general definition 10 out of 10 people give you. But after 15 years of doing short sales, I really discovered that's not the real definition. The real definition is that you miss one house payment. Mic drop, right? You miss one house payment. Here's why, Jen. You cannot do a short sale unless they have missed at least one payment. So therefore, for me, in my world of doing this for so long and with my experience, is that if they have missed a payment, then I can do a short sale. Now you're going to say, but wait a minute, what about this, what they owe and what it's worth stuff? Well, look, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Equity is in the eye of the beholder also. Okay, so I'll back this up by saying it this way. Black Knight, which is now owned by ICE, is a data mortgage statistic company. And I am a data junkie nerd, but we won't get lost on that today. But they did a 30-year study across all of America. They took all the foreclosures over 30 years, took all of those homes that had 40% equity, 40%. They could have snapped their fingers and sold that house on the MLS easily. 1/3 of those people, 30%, went to foreclosure anyway. That's your short sale, Jen. That's the family that you can help out. That's the family that lost everything, that they got their record ruined, all these other issues that happened with them. That's how you can do a short sale because they've missed one house payment. So it's not that they owe more than what it's worth. You can actually have a mortgage of $10 left, and it's a short sale. And the reason is because they've got a $140,000 federal tax lien. They've got a second lien position of $150,000. They've got a credit card debt. It's the total amount owed on the property, not the amount of the first mortgage position. So a lot of people, so that's why I kind of have fun that, hey, you miss one house payment. That's the real definition of a short sale, because we can't do one as investors unless they have missed a payment.
Wow. Okay. Thank you for that. And can you just go a step further, and how do they really differ from other real estate transactions? I know that's kind of a loaded question.
Well, you can say that, well, they take a little bit longer because, one, yes, the seller's wanting to sell their house. You're going to be the buyer for it, and then you're going to come to closing. Well, there's this little interim step where in between the bank has to okay it. The bank has to say yes. Instead of being owed $204,000 on the loan in St. Peters, Missouri, the bank said, I'll take $29,600. Okay, there's that step, and that's the lengthening of the process that would be different than a normal transaction, that you have to go to the bank and do a whole lot of stuff to get the bank to force me. They literally forced me, Jen, to pay $29,000. It was in a piece of paper called an approval letter. And they said, if you want this house, you must pay us $29,600. And I said, oh, okay, I will.
And it was worth how much?
Well, I sold her for $275,000.
Wow.
Okay, but I mean, the point is that the the transaction in real estate, it's just a method of buying houses where the bank is involved in taking what they're owed and saying, hey, look, we have our, just like a distressed homeowner. Look, I don't know if Pete Fortunato or not. Okay. He says when he walks in the house, why would you sell such a nice house as this, like this? Why would you sell such a nice house as this? It's always about why are you selling, not what do you want for the house. It's the same thing with the banks. Okay. They have different, this is even a little trick. Okay. I don't know if we can, is this being recorded? Okay. Well, I mean, it's being recorded, but I mean, we're not live. Let's put it this way. We're not live.
Okay.
Right. Right.
Correct.
If we're not live, good. So we can't, I don't want a lightning bolt to get shot down on me here. So we're recorded. We'll be sure you're not in your office when this is released, but I'm going to give away the percentages that the bank will take. So even though, I don't want the government, they got a drone up there. No, wait, that's New Jersey. Sorry. They've got a drone and they're going to hear them. So the banks will even take, like here, FHA, they'll do this appraisal. That's not what they want for the house. They'll take 88% of it. Okay.
Wow.
Each lender's a different number, and we don't have time to go through all of them. But the point is that it's all about the bank's distressed level also, and why they took $29,600 for the property.
Goodness. I forget that you have all these great nuggets, and I need to go back and listen to the first one again and just compile them all together because this is so fantastic. But you're mentioning mostly the banks, but what role does the homeowner play in the short sale process, and how do you ensure a win-win outcome for them?
Well, basically what happens is that homeowner, if they take no action, the bank's going to foreclose. So they've got a situation where they're not able to make their house payment. The banks have a situation that they're representing investors. And so they're not going to just say, well, why don't you just pay us a little bit and go on your way? They're going to try to collect the full amount plus penalties, plus interest, plus everything else, unless somebody else steps in to negotiate. And negotiate's not the right word. We call it process the short sale. The bank will negotiate. I'm not a negotiator. I'm a little ant. They're a 600-pound gorilla. And so they're telling me what they'll do. Okay. And so, that you just got that process where, the homeowner needs to reach out to someone who can do that process with the bank. The homeowner's not trained. Heck, even real estate agents, realtors are not trained either. They'll take some training to get a certificate, but the certificate is just to protect the broker. Okay, they're not really trained on how to help the homeowner directly in the best possible ways, like real estate investors are trained on it. So don't get confused with a real estate agent. I don't want to get them all mad at me because certificates and PE credits, those are all important for ongoing, but it's not complete. Okay. And so a homeowner, what they can do is they can reach out to an investor like us who knows how to negotiate with a bank. We know how to keep them in the house longer so they can save up their payments. We know how we can get the amount reduced so that they can actually sell it. So for the homeowner, we're there to help them and keep them out of foreclosure. We keep them in the house long. Matter of fact, Jen, the number one reason a homeowner will reach out to you to do a short sale is so that they can stay in the house longer. That's the number one reason. They need time to save their money up and to find another place. To be honest, yet they don't really care about the foreclosure on their record. That's not the number one reason, even though it's a very important reason. And we get that removed. There's no foreclosure. A short sale gets reported as paid in full at reduced amount, which makes no sense. But that's what it says on the credit report, and it's 50 points for 1 year. Versus a foreclosure, 7 years and 350 points. So the homeowner basically has a lot of reasons that they want to do a short sale and to work with an investor that can help them do that.
So in my pre-interview questionnaire, you mentioned that the homeowner seller does not care what the price of the house is. So what does that mean?
Well, look, so let's keep it real simple and go to like the definition that they owe more than what it's worth. Well, if the homeowner is looking at, man, I want to sell my house, but I looked at how much I owe, and I looked at Zillow, and I can't sell it for anywhere close to what I owe, they're thinking, well, I'm not going to get any money, right? They're already and haven't taken any action because they don't think they can, because they can't sell it for more than what it's worth either. So for them, they are sitting there looking at what action steps can they take. Well, they don't know what to take, because I'm not sure if maybe if you want to rephrase the question, I'm not sure if I actually answered it.
Well, it was one of the bullet points that you were talking about, that when the homeowner, when they're doing a short sale, that they really don't care what the price of the house is. That was what you put in there.
So the logic behind, so that's the answer. The reasoning was that they have looked at it online and they see that they're not going to make any money. So now otherwise they would have sold it. So now to get to answering your question, so when we step in, they're already under that assumption that they're not going to.
Gotcha.
So we step in then and say, wait a minute, hold on. Yes, we can actually get the bank to pay you some money. Now they're excited, okay, with it. Now they're excited to be able to get some money, from the bank. And so for the perspective, it doesn't matter if it's $29,600 or it was going to be $100,000. The amount to the seller was the same amount. That's why they don't care what you pay for the house. Matter of fact, we'll give away this little trick here on it. So you may want to delete this because this is too valuable. Okay, but here's that trick that I do. I'm sitting in the house with a homeowner, and I've got the purchase sale contract. Okay, and so I tell the homeowner, I say, now wait. I said, now, ma'am, you don't do short sales, do you, ma'am? Well, no, I'm just an old lady. What do you mean? Okay, great. Well, look, the purchase sale contract here, it's $35,000. And I'm doing that because I want to scare the bank and to stop the foreclosure. I want them to go, what's wrong with this house? Let's stop the foreclosure date. Let's send somebody, the bank will send somebody out. And so this is a secret trick. Now, you're not going to steal my secret trick, are you? No. And I said, great. So will this work? Does 35,000? And they go, no, let's lower it to 30,000. And I'm like, okay, you got to initial it. And so they don't care what the price of the house is. Okay. Because what they're going to get is going to be fixed.
I love your passion in this topic here. So what inspired you to focus on short sales? Because it is so out of my realm of knowledge here. And even though I've had you on here, but again, like I said, I have to hear it multiple times. And what inspired you to focus on short sales as a key strategy in your business?
Well, my wife and I have been doing this since 2009, and that was the Great Recession. There was tidal wave after tidal wave of foreclosures back then, and I was a brand new real estate investor, learning from podcasts, learning from going to RIA meetings, and gathering all this stuff. And like, what method am I going to use to buy houses? That's all a short sale is. It's one of many methods. You can do tax liens, you can do tired landlords, you can do free and clears. It was just one method. Well, in 2009, there's foreclosures everywhere. Families were falling apart. It was terrible. Robo signing. There was movies coming out later. There was all kinds of stuff going on. And so my wife and I thought, how can we step in and help families? Okay. Now, I'm not saying that it was a ministry, because we did intend to make money, but it was, how can we actually do something in real estate that we can affect and help somebody? If you buy a house off the MLS, just a normal transaction, you've got a realtors on both sides. You never get to talk to the seller or the buyer, and you bought it and you moved on. Here, we get to work with families, stop a foreclosure date, get them time in the house, get their judgments removed, their credit card judgments, their tax liens removed, all these things to help families out. And so that's basically why my wife and I started doing short sales in the first place, because in 2009, it was a great crisis in this country.
So do you think that crisis is going to be returning a little bit? I mean, not as much as that there's still protections in place with all the crazy mortgages that were written back in the early 2000s, but do you foresee there being more short sales in the next year or two?
Well, I want to say no, and I know that's contrary to what people want to think, but here's why. First of all, one, we do not, as investors, want a tidal wave. If we have a tidal wave, then they all suddenly go back to the bank and the bank. So I don't want the tidal wave to happen. Okay. Now, is there increased short sales happening? Yes, there are, because the banks. So let's kind of look at why. Let me explain to everybody why there has not been and right now cannot be a tidal wave of foreclosures. Matter of fact, Jen, we are not even back to pre-pandemic foreclosure rates. We're not
Wow.
even back to what happened pre-pandemic on a normal basis. Here's why. In March of 2020, you heard of this COVID thing we had? You remember that? Okay.
Vaguely.
Right. And then the moratorium came out and the CARES Act. And so we had all these loans that homeowners stopped making their payments on. And so the foreclosure rate shut down to near zero. Well, what happened at the same time was that the attorneys laid off the law firms laid off all of the attorneys. They went and got jobs doing something else. Now the moratorium went away. And now banks can foreclose. And yes, almost every single month for 4 years, the foreclosure rate has increased almost even monthly, which is crazy, but certainly on a year-over-year basis, it's coming back up from zero back up to we're now at like 80%.
Wow.
Okay, but there was no tidal wave because there was no attorneys. They were laid off. I'm not kidding you. And I've got two inside bank sources, two insiders at the bank that say the exact same thing. I have a lot of delinquent payments, but I've got no place to send them to foreclose because the law firms don't have the staff to handle the tidal wave. Okay. So for us, that's
Interesting.
beautiful because you can step in right now and do that short sale because they missed one payment. You don't need a foreclosure date. Okay. You don't have to have a foreclosure date. And so there are over 2 million delinquent loans out there right now today. Okay. That are foreclosures that are going to happen eventually here with it. And so you can step in and do those now.
So that leads me to my next question here. And where do you find short sales? Can you can you find them on the MLS, or how do you go about finding these short sales?
Well, I do want to probably get some real estate agents upset. And I apologize. Oh, no, actually, I don't apologize. Look, you absolutely do not get them off the MLS. Okay. They've not, and I'll be nice about it. 90% of the time, they're already screwed up. Okay. And here's why. The real estate agent lists the house for the loan value. They don't get any offers for 3 months, 6 months. So they go to the bank with those facts and they say, we need to reduce what you owe, what you're owed on it. We need to reduce the price on the house. And the bank says, no, you're a professional. You determined that that was the price. Now the agent has to come along and say, I'm sorry, I'm an idiot. I listed it, I'm sorry, I listed it for the loan value, not what it was worth. And so you get in this big catch, whereas get back to answering your question, I'm teaching investors to find them by going to, I'm teaching them not to go to the MLS because it's messed it up. So now where do you find them? So I teach you to go directly to the county legal newspaper. So by law, all across the United States, all foreclosures must be posted in the county legal newspaper. This is the newspaper that has like business contracts, government contracts, divorces, foreclosures. It's not like your other newspaper. It's a legal, it is called county legal newspaper. You could call the mayor of your city, hey, what's our county legal newspaper? That's where you find the postings at the time they occur. You don't need to buy a list.
Nice.
The people that buy a list, they just get it from the same place I teach you to go to. So why don't you once you get it before them and have it be correct and mail your letters out directly from the county legal newspaper.
And this is a list of people who have missed one payment?
No, it is the
Okay.
list. No, oh, that's another episode. No, I teach people to do the easy, low-hanging fruit because this is the list of those that have a foreclosure date. So in states like Texas and Missouri and Georgia, it's in like North Carolina, it's like 30 days. Illinois and Florida is like 90 days. But anyway, they'll post that 30 days ahead of time of what the date and time is. And that's what you reach out to that person because they're about to lose their home. They're very highly motivated.
Got it. Oh, goodness. Well, I want to go back to the bank here for a second, just because, like I said, this is so out of my realm of how to acquire properties. But what is the biggest challenge when negotiating with banks on a short sale? And then how do you overcome these challenges?
Well, like I said, you're kind of not technically negotiating because they're the 600-pound gorilla. You're a little tiny ant. Okay, so you just kind of call yourself the short sale processor, for the property. Okay, now they've got a negotiator at their loss mitigation department, and so what you're doing is, okay, what does that loss mitigator need to close his file out? And so one of the most important things that you need to do in a short sale is that you need to immediately contact the bank and call for the appraisal or the BPO to be done, and then give them your name and your contact information to meet them at the house. FHA guidelines even require you to be at the house. A lot of people say that's not ethical. No, actually, it's against the, and I can't say law because it's a regulation. It's against the regulations for you not to be there. You're
Interesting.
supposed to be there. So the key in negotiating, quote, with the bank is to make sure that you let them know that they can come to the house and do an interior value, not an exterior. It requires an interior evaluation. And then that's what you want to get set up. That's the number one thing in a short sale to do with the bank, is to get that process moving.
Very important. And again, a little scary to some people out there thinking, I am just an ant with this big gorilla here, but you do have a course. I'm going to go ahead and just announce this now before I finish all my questions here, but you do offer a course, or are you a mentor? You help people to purchase short sales. So give us a quick little shout out to your mentorship program.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've got a monthly 2-hour workshop that for your listeners is totally free to come on to, and all you got to do is text the word BAD, BAD, okay, and to that same phone number, and then they can sign up for, because of that special code word, they can sign up for a free 2-hour workshop where I'll go through and explain the whole short sale process. Okay. From there, Jen, I also have a 3-day masterclass that for your people is free. Now, after that, if they decide that they want to help families out, they decide they want to make millions of dollars in real estate and pay lots of taxes, then I can sell them my online education portal, which then teaches you A to Z, the entire process, how I've done it for 15 years. And they can see that on my website, which is thedavidrandolph.com. So THE. Yes, davidrandolph.com was taken and I was heartbroken, but somebody said, aren't you the David Rand? Yeah, go daddy. thedavidrandolph.com. Right down the front page, they can learn more about short sales and information there if they want to get that course. And, it's kind of, I'm actually, if I could just boast a little bit, because I'm kind of proud of this. I'm new in the real estate space, education space. I've only been teaching this for 5 years. But one of the things I'm most proud of is I've had over 350 people purchase that online A to Z training, and I've only had 5 people ask for their money back. That's
Wow.
unheard of in the education space. 5 people. I'm really proud of that. And so I worked hard to make that online education portal to be evergreen, to be able to record it. It's recorded. You can rewind it, pause it, get it around the clock and stuff. So yeah, there's ways for people, but you don't have to. I got a lot of free stuff. Just start with the free stuff, okay?
So good. And David, is evident that you are so good at this because you are so passionate. And that's why you're so much fun bringing on the show with all your lightning bolts coming through the windows, etc. So just a couple more questions here on this first part of the podcast. But how do you determine which properties are worth pursuing as short sales?
Boy, that's a really good question. There was a point in time where I only did short sales on houses that were in very bad shape, right? They need lots of work, and so you're going to get a really big discount. Well, back in 2015, I did a short sale on what was called a pretty house. It had granite, it was only 8 years old, had granite countertops, and it was really a very nice house. And I said, well, I'm just going to see what the banks are willing to do for a discount. What is that? What's their pain points with it? You think it's a valuation, but it's actually not because of fiat currency and getting shut down. I'll throw another one in just to back my point up. A conventional loan, there's many other types. I gave you one on FA, I gave you conventional. A conventional loan will typically take 45 to 55% of the appraisal. Holy,
Wow.
Right. So it has nothing to do with evaluation. So many people think it is, but it's not. So I did a pretty house and I bought it for 110. I did do 30,000 to it because I am a rehabber and I finished the basement and I couldn't sell it with a concrete wall. So I had 140 in it. I sold it for 265. That was a pretty house. So it's not whether it's pretty or ugly. It's more about criteria of maybe who the lender is and the type of loan. For example, let's do a conventional loan at 45% versus FHA at 88%. So I would say that's more your criteria. Who is the lender on the property is probably a better criteria to go by.
Very interesting. All right, got two more questions here. So, what is the competition level for acquiring short sales?
Well, I'll tell you what, we talked about short sales increasing in the future potentially, and I said, who cares? Well, one, I say that because I've been doing it for 15 years. 2016, 18, home prices going through the roof, right? I was doing them then, been doing them the whole time. So it's not like we're trying to look at where they're going to go to in the future, but rather that they're always there. So ask the question again because I forgot
What
what I.
what
Yeah.
is the competition level at acquiring these short sales? So, and I asked this question because in your pre-interview questionnaire, you say that no other buyers are allowed on a short sale. So that's where this question came
I
from.
know, and that's why I have to be politically correct and so sometimes I forget where I'm going to go with it being a safe answer. So there is no competition because families need your help. So let me try it the simple way here is that in my little old St. Charles County, Missouri, there's 40 foreclosures a month. Okay, next month there's another 40, and the next month another. And in St. Louis County, little podunk St. Louis County, there's over 200 a month, and next month there's another 200 a month. So my question is for my competitors, how many do you want? Take as many as you want, because there's plenty for me. Okay, and so there is no competition. And certainly on me as an educator, I can teach you in Tennessee how to negotiate and process and do the short sale, and in Wyoming or in Missouri or North Carolina, I can teach you the same techniques, and you're here with the bank and he's over here with the bank. Completely independent. You're not hurting each other at all. There is no competition.
Very well said. Thank you for that. And I'm going to wrap up this first part of the podcast here with, can you buy a short sale with OPM or do you need your own cash? And OPM is in other people's money.
Oh, so many people are misunderstand short sales because they think they have to pay cash for the house.
Right.
That's true, but it's not your cash. So yes, absolutely. Do you think I can get a hard money loan for $29,600 for a house I sold for 275? Heck yeah, it's real easy. Okay, but here's the trick though. I don't want people to make this mistake in processing, negotiating with the bank. The offer must be cash as is to the bank. But as in all cities, your MLS, you're allowed to come to closing with a loan. You're allowed to, as long as you don't change the terms of the contract. So you get a hard money loan for closing, cash as is offer, but come to closing with other people's money. I do it all the time. I don't even use my own money. I've got private lenders. I've got plenty of money, but I want it dry and in the bank and ready to go. So I borrow money from private lenders myself on my short sales.
So, on that note, let's move to the second part of the podcast here, which is what makes David Randolph a badass. And I use the acronym BADASS, and the first letter is B for book. What's a book that's made a huge difference in your life?
Well, I love books and I go to conferences. I went to 20, look at the lanyards on my doorknob, the lanyard, 26, it looks like 26 conferences this year. And every time I'm in every one of them, I always write down what book someone else is reading. And I never read them, but I wrote them all down. So the only thing I can really say is the book that I did read, okay? And the one that I read in the beginning was Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Very
Okay, and I
good.
know that's kind of a cliche and everybody else did, but that's why it's a cliche because everybody did probably read that book. And so for me, that's what started me getting out of the corporate world mindset, okay, into the entrepreneurial mindset was that book.
Huge. And I mean, come on, it's not a cliche. It really made a huge difference to everyone that read that. So we call it the Purple Bible here on the show. All right. The first A in Badass is for advice. You've given us great advice. So what's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
For me, it's to build relationships and share your knowledge with others. I used to go into our local RIA meetings, especially pre-pandemic when we actually had more of them. Some of them actually never started back up. And I would go into like 5 RIA meetings a month. Okay. And I go in with this little thing I learned in real estate, this trick that I just discovered or figured out or learned. I go to my little networking group and I would tell them that little secret. And that person would tell me a secret. I would tell someone else in the meeting. And by the end of the meeting, I shared this with 10 different people and they all each gave me a secret. So I walked out of the meeting with 10 secrets and only gave one away. So it was all about those relationships and sharing what you know, people will share with you. That's the best piece of advice that people can do. Yes, education and materials and all is important. You're going to get there by building a relationship with people. Find the person you build a relationship that has done this activity and knows that it works. Build that relationship first and then go from there.
I love everything you just said, and I agree with that 1,000%. And I say this pretty often on the show is people will say, oh, I didn't like the topic there. I didn't want to learn about short sales. And so they don't attend the event.
Oh.
And the issue is it's not who's speaking, it's the people in the room, and you need to go and develop those relationships. And I love that you said that. So thank you for that. And I was joking about short sales. Everybody wants to hear about short sales. All right. The D in Badass is for drive. What drives you to be successful?
I was the first one in my family to go to college, and we weren't on welfare. We weren't at that level, but my dad was a union. I worked in the union. I had to pay for college, and I was borderlining on, am I going to be a burden to society or am I going to contribute to society? And so for me, what drives me to be successful is to pay taxes in a way. I hate to say it that way, but to be able to pay contractors to have a job, to be able to have a house someone can buy. I want to help society and not be a burden. Okay. I don't want to have to live off the food stamps. I don't want to have to live off of Medicare type things. Okay. And so for me, my reasons for being successful is to not be a burden to society and to help society.
Well, you contribute quite a bit. And again, you are my go-to for short sales. So thank you for your contribution to the real estate world. All right. The second A in Badass is for aspiration. I'm a big goal setter. So what is a goal you are currently working on?
My goal is I've been teaching people short sales all across the United States because the process is federal. It's identical. I don't care what state you're in. The marketing's different, but the short sale process is identical. And so I'm trying to reach out to thousands of people across this country to teach them short sales. And so my goal right now for me personally is to get this into like a group coaching type format. Take this training material and try and do it where it can be done in a group format so I can reach more people faster across the country. That's my goal and aspiration. I'll be honest with you. My rehabs, I used to do 5 to 10. Next year, I'm not doing any more than 5 rehabs next year. I want to teach people, and that's my goal, is to get into teaching people across the country in a better format.
Well, I'm sure the listeners are grateful to hear that because you are so good at this. All right, the first S in Badass is for systems. What systems do you have in place to help you achieve success?
Well, my background is engineering. I'm all about checklists, processes, and procedures, and that's what I took into real estate when I left my corporate job was let's document everything that we're doing on this house and on this real estate process and then improve it every time. So for me, it's about procedures and processes, documenting those and then improving them on each house that you do. That's the big thing for me.
I love that. It's very important. I'm also a checklist girl myself. So super important. I'm lost without it. And my Google Calendar. Those are the two things I need. All right, David, it is always such a pleasure to have you on the show. I'm going to wrap it up here with the final S in badass, which is success. What does success mean to the David Randolph?
.com. So it's really about debt, not having debt. My wife and I started in real estate by leaving the corporate world at age 42 because we had gotten out of debt. So we had paid off our house. And so for me, it's about having enough money that I can live off of so that I don't have to take on debt. So I want to always have cash. Now, what's a little bit strange about me on the success side is, and this is going to be very strange or whatever, but in how much cash do you need to live, and in retirement there's calculators and it's very all kinds of crazy stuff, and I can never figure out the numbers to put into them. So I just said to myself, I want to have enough cash that at 0% interest, okay, that I have enough to live off of for the rest of my life, just taking out from underneath my mattress. Okay, so that's like financial success there for me is I don't need to say I'm an assumed inflation rate and assumed this and that. Do I just have enough money that if I take it out enough every year that I want to spend, it lasts until I die? That's kind of my measurement of at least financial success.
Well, I think that is excellent, and I appreciate you sharing everything that you've shared today. And one more time, if you want to, I really want to push so it starts with a 2-hour, and then you do a 3-day, is it a virtual event or an in-person event?
They're all on Zoom. No, they're all on Zoom.
Very
all
good.
Across the country. So yeah, BAD, just text BAD to my phone number.
Because you want it bad.
Yes, well, but look, I haven't made a website for you. Okay.
Really?
Yes. If they can write this down, maybe you have like show notes or something.
Yes.
If thedavidrandolph.com and then /BAD, it'll take them to a website to do the same thing as texting BAD. So if they want to go on the computer right now to thedavidrandolph.com/BAD, right there, they can register. They can get in that free 2-hour workshop that will actually send them a video of 20 case studies. People love case. So not only get in the 2-hour workshop, they'll also get a video of 20 case studies that I did on short sales. And then from there, if they like that, then it's free for your people to come to the 3-day masterclass. But that's only done quarterly. It's not done as often.
Okay.
The 2-hour is done monthly. So whenever they listen to this, get signed up right away for it. It'll probably just be a couple weeks for you. But anytime people listen to this, get in on the monthly, and then the master classes every 3 months on there, and just by texting BAD.
Well, I'm grateful you're only doing 5 flips next year so you can educate all my listeners, because this is really great stuff. And I truly appreciate you coming back on the show, David. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Jen, I appreciate what you do out there, teaching people, changing people's lives. Look, I mean, this podcast system is awesome, and I can't do it. I just can't. So I thank you for the efforts and all the behind the scenes junk you have to do to put out a podcast. So thank you, Jen, for what you do.
Well, you are fabulous, and that is all. Thank you for listening, and we will catch you on the next episode. Now, go out there and share your badassery, and don't forget, make it a great day. Take care. Bye-bye. Whoop, whoop.
Thank you for listening to RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. If you need more badassery, you can follow Jen Josey by visiting therealjenjosey.com or become a member of RAIN by registering on rainmastermind.com.